In Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, in June 1855, there was a lawyer named Edwin M. Stanton. During one of Stanton's lawsuits, he met Abraham Lincoln, who was also a member of the defendant's team. Upon seeing Lincoln, he ignored him and uttered, "Why did you bring in that Gibbon?" At the time, Stanton had graduated from a 4-year college and was well known for being smart and capable, while Lincoln was an unknown lawyer who had only attended school for 6 months. Additionally, Stanton had a handsome face with wide eyes, in contrast to Lincoln's thin face with many wrinkles and sunken eyes. Stanton, who surpassed Lincoln in every way, treated him, a country bumpkin lawyer at the time, with blatant disregard. In 1861, Lincoln became the first Republican to be elected president. However, Stanton, a leading member of the Democratic Party at the time, harshly criticized Lincoln and his policies. He spewed hatred and contempt for Lincoln whenever he had the chance. He often belittled Lincoln by saying he was a lower-class person and a weak politician. After meeting Lincoln for the first time in Washington, Stanton tormented Lincoln as a bitter rival for about 10 years. In 1861, 3 years after Lincoln became President of the United States, the Civil War broke out. In the early days of battle, as Lincoln's Union Army continued to lose ground, he was looking for someone to reinvigorate the army. The person who came to Lincoln's mind was none other than Stanton, his political enemy who had looked down on him since his days as a lawyer. Lincoln knew that although Stanton was unsociable, he was more patriotic than anyone else, and he devoted his passion to work. However, when the Republicans found out that Lincoln wanted to appoint Stanton as Secretary of War, they strongly opposed Lincoln's opinion. Everyone was baffled by the president's decision and said that Stanton would come back to bite him in the behind one day. But Lincoln was adamant. Quote, "If you have a minister as good as Stanton, bring him to me, and I will use him." Lincoln ultimately appointed Stanton as Secretary of War, adhering to his belief in loving one's enemies. Stanton, aware of the opposition within the Republican Party, initially hesitated to accept the position. Nonetheless, he accepted Lincoln's offer with the sole purpose of saving the country. Despite his initial hesitancy, Stanton would become President Lincoln's most trusted advisor. His unwavering patriotism and honesty led him to manage the army rigorously, consistently advocating for a more aggressive war effort. Ultimately, the North emerged victorious in the war, and Stanton was acknowledged as one of the greatest secretaries of war in history. In 1865, Lincoln was shot by the assassin John Wilkes Booth while watching a performance at Ford's Theater in downtown Washington. Lincoln's body was laid out on a bed on the first floor of a home across the street. To console Lincoln, many cabinet members came to his bedside, but it was Stanton who stayed by his side longer than anyone else. When Lincoln died, Stanton held Lincoln's body, weeping and exclaiming, "The greatest man of all time lies here. Even though times change and the world changes, what this man did will remain as a valuable legacy throughout history." Lincoln's great leadership is clearly revealed in his relationship with Edwin M. Stanton. In a time of national crisis, Lincoln put the country's well-being ahead of his own personal feelings. He forgave and embraced his political enemies who attacked him and made life difficult for him. Because of Lincoln's mindset of forgiveness and tolerance, he was able to not only win the Civil War, but also leave behind the great achievement of emancipating slaves. In order to turn enemies into friends and gain people's trust, we must be able to forgive others for the wrongs they have done to us. Turning to the book of Proverbs in the Bible, it states, "It is to one's glory to overlook an offense." This means that if you forgive others with a generous heart when they do something wrong to you, you will be honored and respected for it. So, why is it that when we forgive the wrongs of others, we get the glory? The God who created and rules this world is a fair God. When we plant good seeds, He allows us to reap good fruit. And when we plant bad seeds, He allows us to reap bad fruit. In other words, even if someone has done something wrong to us, if we forgive that person and plant seeds of love and reconciliation, our good actions will eventually bear good fruit. Therefore, those who forgive others for their wrongdoings and embrace them will not only have a better relationship with them, but they can even become friends. Lincoln fostered a positive relationship with Stanton by forgiving his past wrongs, and as a result, Stanton played a pivotal role in Lincoln's victory during the Civil War. Therefore, as Lincoln did, we should heed God's command to forgive others their transgressions. By forgiving others, we obey our God and plant good seeds, which in turn yields good fruit in their lives and our own.